Hey everyone, just a quick video on our discussion from yesterday on trying to determine the surface area of our right cylinder. I do want to just make a comment that the formula that we're going to be using is a combination of the area and the circumference of a circle. And we do have to make sure that when we are working on this surface area that it'll be referring to not only the cylinder but also to the net. Okay, now I did talk about which formula to use yesterday in our class, and this is the formula that you would use. Surface area equals 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi rh. Now, when you look at a net, you have to make sure that you look at this number that I just drew the black arrow to. This is the diameter, and the formula requires us to have the radius. So don't forget that the radius is, of course, half of the diameter. So half of 12, our radius would then be equal to 6 centimeters. Once we have that in there, we can plug these numbers into our formula. Now the first part of the formula right here is the 2 pi r squared, which refers directly to the area of the circle parts of the cylinder in this net. All right, so in this case here, we have 2 multiplied by pi multiplied by 6 squared. And then, of course, we can flip over to the second part, which refers to the curved edge of the rectangle and the height. So then I have 2 multiplied by pi multiplied by the radius, which we've determined is 6, multiplied by the height. Now, it doesn't matter how you do this. If you have a calculator that you can type it all in at once, or you can break it down into its components. So I can do 2 multiplied by pi multiplied by 6 squared. So you take out your calculator. And then what I would do too, especially if it's a decimal, I would round this to 2 decimal places right away, so you don't have to worry about it at the end, unless the question states that you needed to round to the nearest squared unit or the nearest tenth or whatever decimal place the question is asked. But in this case, we're just going to be rounding it to 2 decimal places. And this is centimeters squared. Okay, then the second part of the equation, we just plug that into our calculator. That's 2 multiplied by pi multiplied by 6 multiplied by the height, which is 18 in this case. And I would get 678.58 centimeters. Oops, I should have put the 18. The height is 18 right there. My bad. Once we add those two together, we get 226.19. We'll be adding 678 plus 58. We get 962.19 centimeters squared. This is also in squared centimeters because this is surface area. Now that's if they give us the diameter and we need to convert it to the radius. Now sometimes they're just going to give you a net like this where you will have the radius is already done for you and you have the height. So then we can just go right back in here, plug these numbers into our equation. 2 pi times 6, oops, not 6, sorry, radius is 9 squared plus 2 pi, the radius times the radius is 9 times the height is 6. We could plug that into our calculator. 2 times pi times 9 is 508.94, rounded to the nearest hundredth, plus 2 multiplied by pi multiplied by 9 multiplied by 6 is 339.2 0.29. Again, we can add those two together to get the full surface area of this net of a cylinder. So 508.94 times 339 is, let's see here, is 172,000. Oops, that's wrong. I've been multiplying. Don't forget that this is an addition sign. I was multiplying that all together instead of adding the two together and struggling with the number of getting 172,000. My mistake, grade 894 plus 339.29. That's a little bit better number. That number comes out to be 848.23 centimeters squared. Now, don't forget this formula can also be applied to if you have a cylinder that's already drawn. It's not going to be in the net, where we would have the height of 12 meters if maybe it's a huge a storage container, and maybe this is 9 meters. That's the radius. So even if it's in a diagram such as this, we can still use the same formula for that, 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi RH. And we can just plug in the numbers as we would go through the formula. 2 times pi times 9 squared plus 2 multiplied by pi multiplied by the radius, which is 9, multiplied by the height, which is 12. And then we would get to our meters squared, because of course this is a surface area, it's not volume, and it's just not regular perimeter or circumference. So 508.94, and we would add 2 multiplied by pi, multiplied by 9, multiplied by 12. 678.58. Add those two together. And we get 1,280.58 meters squared. Hope this helps when you're working through the assignment today. If you have any questions, let me know.